All right, let's get right into it. Every day, right, you're on websites, you're using apps, clicking buttons, and you probably don't give it a second thought. But have you ever stopped and wondered what is actually going on to make all of that work? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that hidden world. And you know what? It is absolutely true. Behind every slick design, every button you press, there is this whole universe of code and logic just buzzing away in the background. It's like this perfectly choreographed dance between two partners, and I promise, once you see it, you'll never look at a web page the same way again. So, what is this hidden world made of, really? It all boils down to two essential parts that have to work together perfectly: the front end and the back end. You can think of them as two sides of the same coin, and together they create pretty much every digital experience you have. So let's break it down. Okay, first up, we've got the front end. And honestly, the best way to get this is to imagine you're at a big theater show. The front end, that's the stage. It is everything the audience, or in our case, you, the user, gets to see and enjoy. So yeah, it's the layout, the colors, the words you're reading, the pictures you're looking at, the buttons you're clicking. Basically, if you can see it on your screen and interact with it, you're dealing with the front end. It's the public face of the whole operation. And this whole stage is built using three main technologies. Think of them like this. First, you have HTML. That's the skeleton. It gives the page its raw structure, the bones. Then you layer on CSS. That's the wardrobe and the makeup. It adds all the style, the colors, the fonts, the spacing. It makes it look good. And finally, you've got JavaScript. That's what brings the whole thing to life. It handles all the cool, interactive stuff, the animations, all the dynamic things that happen when you actually do something on the page. Let's make it real. Imagine you're shopping online. You see that nice-looking Add to Cart button. The way it's designed, its color, that's all CSS. The fact that it's a button in the first place, that's your HTML structure. And that slick little animation where a window pops up to confirm your item's been added, pure JavaScript magic. All of that right there is the front-end experience. But what actually happens after you click that button? Well, that's where our second partner comes into play. If the front end is the stage, the back end is everything. And I mean everything happening backstage. It's the brains of the whole production. The back end is all the stuff you don't see. It's the servers, the application logic, the databases. It's the powerful, hidden machinery that's working like crazy behind the curtain to make sure the show on stage goes off without a hitch. And trust me, without the back end, the front end would just be a pretty but totally useless picture. Yeah, this is where the real heavy lifting gets done. Developers use programming languages like Python or Java to write the rules for how the website actually works. All your important info, like user accounts, what's in stock, that's all kept safe in giant digital filing cabinets called databases. And this whole system lives on a server, which is basically a super powerful computer whose job is to process all these requests and send data back and forth across the internet. So let's go back to our Add to Cart button. You click it on the front end, right? That click sends a message, a request, to the back end. And the back end springs into action. It checks if the item is actually in stock, it finds your specific account in the database and adds the item to it, and it recalculates the new total for your shopping cart. And it does all of that in like a blink of an eye. So you see, the front end and back end aren't working against each other. They are in constant communication. They're partners. And to really get how they talk to each other, let's switch analogies for a second. Let's think of the whole website as a restaurant. The front end is the dining room where you are. The back end is the kitchen. So, how does your order get from your table to the kitchen? They communicate using something called an API. Think of the API as your waiter. So when you click Add to Cart on the front end, you're placing your order. The API, our waiter, grabs that order and zips it to the kitchen, the back end. The chefs in the kitchen get to work, checking inventory, updating your bill. And once that order is ready, the waiter brings the confirmation right back to your table. The front end then displays it for you, maybe by updating the little cart icon in the corner. It's this non-stop, super fast back and forth that makes the whole thing feel so smooth. At the end of the day, neither one of these can work without the other. It's a true partnership. You need a beautiful, easy-to-use front end so people know what they're doing, and you need a powerful, lightning-fast back end to actually make it happen. A gorgeous site that takes forever to load is just as bad as a super fast site that's a nightmare to navigate. They have to be a perfect duo. So let's just recap it super quick. The front end, that's what you see and interact with. It's the stage built with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The back end, that's everything happening behind the scenes. It's the brains, running on things like Python and huge databases. One is for the show, the other is for the smarts. Look, if you take just one thing away from this whole explainer, let it be this. This phrase just nails it. You need both a friendly, welcoming smile and a smart, functioning brain to have a complete person or a complete website. So the next time you're just browsing a website, take a second. Appreciate that silent, perfect partnership between the smile you can see and the brain you can't. And it kind of makes you wonder, right? What other invisible duos, these hidden partnerships between the stage and the backstage, are powering the rest of our world? We'll leave you with that thought. Thanks for joining us.